So we just saw one of the most unrealistic, unexpected trades go down when Luka Doncic got sent from the Dallas Mavericks, their franchise star at 25 years old, to the LA Lakers. So now we're kind of learning that nobody is safe in the NBA. Because if I came at you with this trade that went down, you would have been like, all right, put 2K down. Are you high? Well, yeah, not anymore, because anybody could be traded, and that is going to spark today's fun video idea. I'm going to come up with different trade ideas for the best players in the NBA. So we're just having fun today. We're coming up with fantasy level ideas, and I want you to let me know in the comments the most realistic one that could happen. Spurs fans, though, you're safe. I am not including Wemby in a deal. He's the most prized trade asset in the NBA. He is untouchable. Nobody could offer them anything. Nobody could offer San Antonio something that they would trade Victor Wembanyama. He's 21 years old. He's already a top 7 guy in the NBA, top 10 guy in the NBA. I also didn't include Shea, but I did include a big Thunder trade in this video. So the first one we're going to talk about is creating a big 3 in San Antonio. They just went out and got De'Aaron Fox to pair him up with Wemby. Let's go out and get another former Kentucky guard star. Let's get Devin Booker from the Phoenix Suns. This deal is going to send Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle, Jeremy Sohan. Yeah, the trio of young assets that they were able to keep in that De'Aaron Fox deal. Malachi Branham, 2 first-round picks in exchange for Devin Booker. Now, something I'm going to say throughout these videos that, don't honestly think too much about these trades. A lot of them are fantasy style, and maybe it's not going to include all those players in this deal. It's really just the idea of seeing Devin Booker in San Antonio, and honestly, they are in a great position to pull off a deal like this and outbid any other team if we see Devin Booker ever become available from the Phoenix Suns. Booker has been one of the best shooting guards in the NBA since he was drafted back in 2015. He's someone that's averaged 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists over his career. He won a gold medal with Team USA last summer in the Olympics, where he played a great 6-man role connecting piece for that team at different times. He's turned into a very good playmaker over the course of his career, and he's just a very efficient scorer. He's always been around a 35, 36, 37% three-point shooter on high volume, can score in multiple ways in the half court, and is still just 28 years old. He just turned 28, and having him, Fox, and Wemby in San Antonio would just be a sick big 3 in an era where we don't really see big 3s anymore. There's a few in the NBA. They're not like what they used to be, but having that Kentucky backcourt of De'Aaron Fox and Devin Booker throwing lobs to Wemby or just spacing the floor for him could honestly end up becoming a dynasty in San Antonio if they're able to pull something like this off. I actually think this is one of the more realistic ones. Maybe they don't have to give up all of this with what I have proposed in this video. I just think Devin Booker, De'Aaron Fox, and Wemby in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it down the line. And I went from one of the more realistic ones in this video to just an insane idea because I wanted to include Joel Embiid, but I'm like, where am I going to have Joel Embiid go to? Well, a team that just made a massive deal doesn't have a center anymore. So we're going to send Joel Embiid to the LA Lakers to create a big 3. He's getting traded along with Gershon Yabusele for Rui Hashimura, Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, and a 2031 first-round pick. I'm not sure who would say no in this deal. I feel like both teams would probably prefer not to do it, but having a big 3 of Luka, Wemby, Embiid, and LeBron to try to win a title this year would be a lot of fun, and you're not really giving up insane assets to go out and get somebody that won the 2023 MVP award, that was having one of the best offensive seasons of all time in 2024 before he got hurt. It's just a thing with Embiid. Even though he's 30 years old, he is always injured. He has almost missed more time in the NBA than he's actually played in the NBA in terms of games missed and games played overall. But this could create a very fun big 3, and if Embiid could ever be healthy, hey, maybe he goes to LA, vibes change for him. Embiid and Luka for the next 5 years would be an insane offensive duo if they could both stay healthy, but hey, I may have to put down 2K for this one. For Philadelphia, I don't know if an Embiid trade is on the horizon, right? Like, we just saw Luka get traded. We just saw Anthony Davis get traded. The Sixers have had their own issues this year because Embiid can't stay healthy and isn't on the floor. Maxey has been one of their only reliable guys. They drafted well in Jared McCain. Do they pivot? Trade Embiid, try to get a bunch of assets, and in this deal, it'd be some good role players around Maxey and Paul George, in Austin Reeves, Hashimura. You hope you'd get something out of Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent. You get a Lakers first rounder in 2031. This one's a funny idea just to see where Embiid would go if the Sixers were going to ever make him available. When Luka got traded to LA, Giannis said that this is good for European players building their brands in a big market, and we're looking at Giannis like, Giannis, you fit that criteria. Does that mean you don't want to be in Milwaukee anymore and you want to go be in a New York, a Los Angeles, or a Golden State or something like that? I'm not really sure. I do have a Giannis idea that's going to send him to Texas. Giannis going to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson, and 3 pretty valuable future first-round picks. And I'm sure Rockets fans are like, no, Amen Thompson is untouchable in a Giannis deal. Well, how about, like, if I told you in the beginning of the year, Amen Thompson was going to play so good that you can get Giannis without having to give up Jalen Green or Alperen Şengün, you'd be like, honestly, I would sign off on that. Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. Yeah, I'm sure Rockets fans would rather trade Jalen Green than Amen Thompson. So I think I may anger both Bucks fans and Rockets fans with this proposal, but I do think Giannis can slide in there in that front court with Şengün. There could be some floor spacing issues, but both of them are plus defenders. Giannis is an elite defender. Şengün's been much better on that end of the floor. You keep Reed Shepherd in this deal. You keep Fred VanVleet that you can maybe move in a different deal. But Giannis is somebody that's available all the time. He's a walking 30 and 12 person this year. He's averaging 32 points, 12 rebounds, and oh yeah, 6 assists a night. And oh yeah, is an elite mid-range shooter and an elite defender also. He is shooting 61% from the field. He's averaging 1.3 blocks, around a steal a night, and has been one of the best players in the NBA since the 2018 season. He's finished top 5 in MVP voting since 2018. So he would go for like a Luka level package, maybe a little bit less, because who knows if he's going to be a free agent, who knows if he's going to request out. That would ever lose leverage for Giannis, and also he is 30 years old. But still, Giannis is one of the best players in the NBA. You could say he's the second or even the best player in the NBA. He would demand a haul if he ever got moved, and if that does eventually happen, because Giannis has always been in trade rumors, I think Houston would be at the top. OKC would have a ton of assets, Brooklyn as well, and who knows, maybe San Antonio. What if we saw Wemby and Giannis in the front court together? And when Luka got traded, I was like, wow, any of these good guards in the Western Conference can get moved any second. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk about Shea, and I'm not, but I do think Shea is probably one of the more premier assets in the league because he's the same age as Luke. He's 26 years old, and he could end up winning MVP this year. But another Western Conference guard that you never know what could happen. Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. Could I get him to South Beach? Could we create a big four of Ja, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo in the final days of Jimmy in Miami? Yeah, let's send Terry Rozier, who might be arrested when this video comes out. Who knows what's going on with him in the gambling. Hayward Highsmith, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, and 2 first-round picks for Ja Morant. To be honest with you, I think the Heat are giving up too much here. Even though they don't have the greatest young core in the world, they're gutting their young core here, and they're giving up 2 future draft picks for a player that has been injured a decent amount in his career. But we know that when Jimmy Butler is inevitably gone from the Miami Heat, either at the deadline or in the offseason, they're going to be going for that 3rd star next to Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. And Ja has definitely been a little bit less athletic, at least on display this year. He's not trying to posterize people left and right, even though we did get that dunk on Wemby. But Ja has been banged up this year. He's averaging just 20 points, 4 rebounds, 7.5 assists. He's shooting 44% from the field and 30% from 3. Now, this is a year off being suspended and having season-ending shoulder injury, so I do think we're going to eventually get back to what Ja Morant was in 2022 and in 2023. It just wasn't going to come this year since he only played 9 games last year, 28 this year. He's been in and out with a shoulder injury, the same shoulder that he had season-ending surgery on. So I wonder if a team could ever try to buy low on Ja Morant in Memphis if Memphis doesn't want to give him another contract down the line, and he would be eligible for one at the end of the 2028 season. This is probably the biggest trade in this video because when I did this, I was like, all right, I'm not going to come up with a Wemby idea. Nothing could ever make sense. Same with Shea. Well, I did come up with a Nikola Jokic idea. That would send Nikola Jokic from Denver to OKC, and that would involve Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, Chet Holmgren, Dylan Jones, and 5 first-round picks. Obviously, having Chet Holmgren could mean a lot in a Nikola Jokic deal, and we'd be pairing up arguably the 2 best players in the Western Conference, Jokic and Shea, in OKC. Like, this one would be just insane. Shea and Jokic having a 2-man game together would be unreal, and you can go out and get Jokic without having to give up Jalen Williams. Would be mind-blowing. I'm sure they'd rather keep Chet than Jalen Williams. I know Chet has his injury concerns, but he's kind of a unicorn. It's very tough to find an elite defensive potential center who looked great defensively before he got hurt this year, and also what he could be offensively as a stretch 5, but you go out and you get Nikola Jokic if you can. So I wonder if this one is going to make Nuggets fans really mad and Thunder fans really mad. I guess that's the goal of these, because if I proposed that Luka idea to everybody, I'm sure more Lakers fans would have been signing off than Mavericks fans. Mavericks fans probably would have killed me by now. But this is just a fun idea that would send Nikola Jokic to OKC, something you would see in 2K So you never know. Could we ever see Shea and Jokic teaming up together in the future? Because when you go back in time, and if I ever showed you a picture of James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, or maybe I showed you Russ, AD, and LeBron in LA, or how about Luka Doncic in LA, you would have called me crazy. So yeah, this is one that's going to send Jokic, the best player in the NBA, who's averaging 29.5 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists this year. He's just putting up video game numbers, and we're just taking it for granted. 57% from the field, 47% from three, and 81% from the line. He's got 3 MVPs in his career. He's going toe-to-toe with Shea to try to get his 4th MVP here in 2025. And you know what? If he can't beat him in the MVP race, might as well join him on the Thunder. Can we get a reunion in this video? Somebody that won a title with this team, we're going to have in a trade. Let's get Kawhi Leonard back to Toronto. And I don't know if it would even cost that much. We're going to send RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk, and Grady Dick to the Clippers. Honestly, this is a really good trade for the Clippers in the long run, just getting younger and getting some good wing depth around James Harden. And Ivica Zubac and Kawhi, who has had his injury concerns, is going to go to Toronto to team up with Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, and Jakob Poeltl over there. He won a title in his only year in Toronto in 2019, where you could make an argument at the time Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the NBA for the 2019 Raptors, where he averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. He shot 50% from the field that year and 37% from 3, but he only played 52 games in 2023, 68 games in 24 last year, and has been banged up this year, only appearing in 11 games. So this one would just try to get another big name next to Scotty Barnes, and for the Clippers, they just get younger. So there's a couple teams right now in the Western Conference hovering around the play-in tournament. The Kings just made a big move. The Spurs just made a big move. Same with the Mavericks and the Lakers. Well, a team that wants to make a big move to help out their aging star, the Golden State Warriors. They want to help out Steph Curry. Let's get him an old teammate as well. We're going to have another reunion here. This one is going to send Kevin Durant from Phoenix to Golden State in exchange for Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton, Kyle Anderson, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, and 2 future first-round picks. And you know what? I don't think this is the most unrealistic idea, and I kind of like it for the Phoenix Suns, because the Suns would have so much depth to play with here, something they are desperately lacking. And I know you're trading away Kevin Durant, your best player on your team, but you're getting plenty of wing depth here. You could still try to tap into the potential of Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski. You get some more draft capital, and that 2031 Warriors pick could have a ton of value if Steph and KD retire before then, which is very likely, and Draymond as well. And for the Warriors, it's one last dance for KD and Steph Curry. Who knows? Maybe if you make this trade, you could somehow get LeBron James down the line as well. You'd probably have to trade away Draymond Green. So this is also one of the more realistic ones in the video. Kevin Durant is averaging 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists this year. Still Kevin Durant-like efficiency. He has missed a little bit of time this year due to injuries, but he's still been relatively healthy for somebody that is 36 years old and is still a top 10 player in the NBA. And just watching KD and Steph Curry just try to go on a deep playoff run with Draymond Green over there, and they'd still have guys like Buddy Hield, Kevon Looney, Moses Moody, and Trace Jackson Davis after this deal could help the Golden State Warriors try to win a title before Steph Curry retires. But let's say that doesn't happen, and let's go in an opposite direction, and Steph is like, I want out of Golden State. I want to try to win a title before I retire, and that's just not going to happen here in the Bay Area. Let's call up an Eastern Conference team, right? We can't have Steph stay in the Western Conference. We're going to call up the Orlando Magic, who have 2 young rising stars right now in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. We're going to send Steph to Orlando with Lindy Waters, and they're getting back Jonathan Isaac, KCP, Anthony Black, and 4 first-round picks. Honestly, on the surface level, this is a terrible trade for the Golden State Warriors. I'd rather just hold on to Steph. But if he requests a trade, he's getting up there in age. He has looked like he's shown a little bit of aggression this year. You may want to please your franchise star, and we'd get Steph, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero as a core 4 in the playoffs. That could win a ring this year because the Eastern Conference could be wide open, and it's definitely less competitive than the Western Conference. For Golden State, maybe you'd want a Tristan DeSilva in this deal or a Jed Howard, but mainly you're trying to get 4+ first-round picks and Anthony Black in a deal. I'm sure you'd want Jalen Suggs as well, but if we trade away Jalen Suggs, we're not getting Steph a ring in Orlando, and that was my goal of this trade. The Charlotte Hornets would never trade LaMelo Ball, right? I don't know. Would LaMelo Ball want to go to a big market team that has a ton of assets? And that would be the Brooklyn Nets in New York. LaMelo Ball would be sent to the Brooklyn Nets for Cam Johnson, who the Hornets can reroute, Cam Thomas, Daron Sharp, and 5 first-round picks. Some of those are valuable, some of those aren't, but Brooklyn could offer a very nice deal for LaMelo Ball if he ever requested a trade from the Charlotte Hornets. His contract extension just kicked in, though. He wouldn't be a free agent until the 2029 season, but that is a very good offer from the Brooklyn Nets. You have have Brandon Miller. You're going to have another top 5, top 6 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Maybe you trade Miles Bridges as well. And honestly, the Hornets have been rebuilding forever now, so I wouldn't want them to trade LaMelo. I think it's cool that he's bringing eyes and attention to a smaller market team like the Charlotte Hornets. We just got to see them back in the playoffs. And this is why Brooklyn has entered into their rebuild, to go after another big young star, and that could be LaMelo Ball or a bunch of other guys we mentioned in this video. And the last one would have to happen over the next few days. It's looking like it wouldn't happen, but man, would this be a cool homecoming, especially if he can win a ring in what could be the final year of his career. This would send LeBron James and Christian Wood to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Karis LeVert, Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, and Jalen Tyson. You'd probably have to have Bronny in this deal as well going to the Cavs, but the Lakers get basically 5 rotational players and a recent first-round pick in Jalen Tyson for somebody that could retire at the end of the year or at the end of next year, so they'd have a ton of depth around Luka Doncic to make corresponding moves. As for the Cavs, I could roll out a Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen closing 5 in the playoffs. That should be able to win it all this year, the way that LeBron is playing in his age 40 season. And I think this is just poetic as well. Like, I tried to get Steph to Charlotte, but what would that do, right? Steph going back home there. Let's get LeBron back to Cleveland. He can win ring number 5, and it would be touching to go out as a Cav on top. So yeah, that's gonna be for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this fantasy unrealistic style video, but for some of these trades, are they unrealistic anymore after the Luka Doncic trade? You can let me know. Hey, if you want to give me a trade idea for Wemby, Shea, Jason Tatum, any of those guys I didn't talk about in this video, let me know down below. Hit that like button if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're not already, because I will be live streaming on trade deadline day on Thursday for a couple hours, so you can be alerted if you do subscribe and turn notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.